Class 3, key issues involved in transition process. So we are discussing third point, um, opening balance sheet. Opening balance sheet. So this is a crucial step from at the time of transition from cash basis to accrual accounting system. So it is a very crucial step to identify the valuation of assets and liabilities. So it is needed to identify in a systematic way. The opening balance sheet has to be supported by the adequate information and explanation necessary for audit. This can be very challenging and time-consuming process as well. So, at the time of preparation of opening balance sheet, they'll use a materiality and a prudence concept to make a judgment about assets and liabilities that should receive the most attention during this exercise. Valuation issues. So the traditional basis of valuation has been historic cost. Conceptually, current valuations are generally viewed as superior, but practical considerations have often led to the continuation or adoption of the historic cost approach. So we'll go with the historic cost approach. So in this approach, assets are valued at their acquisition costs. So when coming to the current valuations, it has greater value of economic analysis. There are number of different methodologies for applying current valuations to evaluate the assets and liabilities. These include depreciated replacement cost, value in use or net present value method, net realizable value. So each of these has its own problems. So we'll go one by one with their problems. Depreciated replacement cost. It assumes that one would purchase exactly the same asset in future, which most likely is not the case. So if we are calculating depreciation for an asset, so that is a non-cash expenditure. Nothing but we are setting aside some amount in the name of depreciation. We are setting aside the profit. We are setting aside the profit in the name of depreciation. After completion of the lifetime of the asset, the accumulated depreciation, whatever it may be, so it will be equalized to the value of asset, and at the end you can purchase one more asset, the same asset in the future with that amount. But in practical, there are so many considerations like present value of money and some other issues involved practically. So the second method, value in use method. It is nothing but a net present value of cash flows of an asset. When this approach is adopted in non-competitive environment, so government is a non-competitive environment. When this approach is adopted in a non-competitive environment, an entity can raise its charges and thereby the cash flows of an asset. As a result, the value of asset would increase. See, if an asset generates the cash flows or benefit, so it is an addition to the value of the asset. It is an addition. So this can become circular. So because of this, value of the asset will be increased. But the exact value, we cannot assume what it is. It means we cannot identify the exact value. Same like in depreciated replacement cost. So the problem with the net realizable value approach. So this is another approach, net realizable value approach. Centers on specialized assets where markets may not exist or may not be reliable. Suppose if we purchased one specialized mission or designed for our own organization, so how do we value that asset? So net realizable value means at the time of suppose if we want to sell that asset, nobody is going to purchase it because that asset was specially designed for our organization. So there is no such kind of centers for specialized assets. At that time, this method will be useless. A further difficulty with the current valuation is that they can fluctuate significantly from one year to another. So next one, technical and IT competencies. International experience suggests that a lack of adequate technical resources can be a major barrier to successful implementation. So if we have a look on the essentials that government consider to move to accrual accounting, the first one is the government has to establish their own technical platform, or the government has to depend on the other people like a consultancy services. So see, if you see this point, a core of officials with the required technical skills. The government must have the core officials with the technological skills, and the government has the capacity to recruit such people for its key positions. Or outside consultants may be used to supplement in-house resources to develop the framework and the associated systems and procedures. However, in order to ensure that the reforms are sustainable, consultants should be used mainly for capacity building purposes and to assist officials with the specific technical implementation issues. So this is the major portion, major issue in the government offices. So most of the government officials doesn't have the computer skills, IT skills. So it is one kind of a barrier. The following institutional and professional arrangements would greatly facilitate a move to an accrual accounting framework. A well-established and regulated national professional accounting body. The second one is a well-functioning supreme audit institution, effective parliamentary public accounts committees, a national valuation office to assist with the valuation of assets, and a actuarial institution to assist with valuation of employee and social policy liabilities. So these are the general arrangements, professional arrangements the government must have. Social insurance programs. The treatment of social insurance programs such as general old age pension programs. It is a very controversial issue in an accrual accounting. It is important to emphasize that this does not refer to the treatment of government employees' pension programs. These are contractual obligations and their treatment as liability is clear cut. So there are two schools of thought on this subject. So one group believe social insurance program should be treated as a liability for the government, and another group of people will think this is not a liability. So social policy obligations at times may trigger liabilities upon government, and for which accounting issues need to be considered. Whether to bring these obligations into accounts or to ignore on the grounds that the legislation affecting them can be changed, and therefore the potential liabilities are not capable of measurements. Sometimes government change their approach regarding these programs. At that time, in this accounting procedure systems, it will become a complicated issue, whether they have to consider it as a liability or they have to ignore it. So that is why this is the controversial issue. Fostering a cultural change. Perhaps the overriding lesson is that implementing accruals cannot be seen as a technical accounting exercise. It needs to involve a cultural change in government and is linked with the wider public management reforms. It needs to be actively promoted, especially at the level of policy makers and the senior officials. So, in the transition process, policy makers plays a vital role while making policies. First of all, they have to be motivated with this cultural change. Whenever reforms are made by the professionals, these policymakers or senior official, they won't accept the change. So it is a very crucial step also. It is very essential. It is needed to be actually promoted, especially at the level of policymakers and senior officials. So communication, this includes promoting the cultural change as noted above, but extended to all aspects of the implementation cycle, all aspects of the implementation cycle. So to have a specific new accounting policies available early, if we have accounting policies, new accounting policies early, so it will facilitate the ministries, agencies to prepare themselves to to have such modifications. So the use of task force on specific issues composed of officials serves to get buy-in from more readily than otherwise. Next one, close communication with the audit office. It is also necessary if they are to reinforce the reform and attest to the accounts on the accrual basis. It allows the finance ministry to understand their concern and the audit office to understand better the motives and rationale of the government for the decisions it takes as it implements accruals. So finally, communication is must to motivate the people, and if we have an early notification of this specific new accounting policies, all officials will be ready. Even audit also facilitates more comfort. So communication plays a vital role. Why government is adopting accrual concept differently from private sector? So it depends on the focus and the aims of these two. So the private sector focuses on commercial viability, whereas government plays development and social role. That is why the need for economic and rural development might necessitate governments to adopt accrual concepts differently from private sector. And the other thing, the concept of true and fair is different in government from that of private sector. Private sector treats differently, but in the government sector, it's completely based on the welfare of the people. So further, the concept of net worth in government is not as important as in the private sector. So generally, net worth, it is a capacity of the organization. But here in government sector, there is no such kind of a measurement. Of course, there is a measurement is there, but not in the terms of net worth. The focus of accrual accounting in government is to ensure that the output and outcome of a spending are matching with the inputs. That is why budgetary control system is very essential. And the long-term fiscal sustainability of government is captured appropriately. So these are the major points we have to note. So keynotes are the summary of all the key implementation while conversion of cash basis of accounting into accrual basis of accounting. So the first one is assessment of existing system and requirements, including review of legislative framework with reference to existing laws for smooth transition into double entry accrual accounting system. So a review of existing state accounts manual, and then business process re-engineering with reference to accrual accounting system, categorization and grouping and subgrouping of assets and liabilities, design of a chart of accounts with the accounting codes, determination of valuation of fixed assets, including infrastructure assets, current assets, investments, long-term liabilities, current liabilities, and net worth as on opening balance sheet date. Preparing formats of financial statements and voucher formats in accrual accounting system. Design of a double entry accounting system on accrual basis and accrual basis for local bodies. Preparation of opening balance sheet. Selection of appropriate accounting policies and the drafting of disclosures of accounting policies. Implementation of a double entry accounting system on accrual basis. Preparation of financial statements for the transition period. Training of finance and accounts personnel and the training of trainers. So these are the key points noted. These are all discussed in the key issues involved in transition. So it is kind of a gist. These keynotes are, it's kind of a gist.